Welcome to a digital extra episode of The Little Radio Show. Every once in a while, we have a topic that runs over or that we need to put out before the next episode is up. This week, we talk about the inauguration. My name is Sandra Fernandez, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Juan Alanis and Anjelica Cazares. And this week, we talk about the presidential inauguration, our feelings about it, our hopes and concerns, and we get a little bit personal about the reasons why we did or did not watch the inauguration. The Little Radio Show is brought to you in partnership with juanofwords.com and HispanicHouston.com.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today's going to be a little bit different. Our show is going to consist just quite different. I know I am sounding very ominous because this is the way I choose to sound today. But today as we record, it is January 20th, as you all know, Inauguration Day. For the new president-elect, which is probably the way I will always know as him, as opposed to the president. I know I've had a conversation with you, Sandra, and I had a conversation with you, Juan. I elected to not watch the inauguration in its entirety. I looked it up online and I watched just a portion of which he spoke. I did not watch the prayer. I did not watch the prayer. I know they had a few chaplains in there, and I know they had a few judges speaking and so on and so forth. And I didn't want to hear any of it. What I wanted to hear was what he had to say. I know you guys opted not to participate in any of it. I want to know your thoughts and why you decided not to participate before I include what I have to say.
Well, a couple of things. First of all, I have a question for you. Had you watched previous presidential inaugurations?
I have. I looked at them. I looked for them later.
I have not. So I don't know that I made a conscious decision not to watch this year's. I know that I did not go looking for it, which is the only way that I'm going to find anything these days. There was so much negativity from everybody about it that I opted not to immerse myself in that for an entire day, if that makes any sense.
So you didn't want to immerse in it for personal reasons?
I didn't want to wallow in the negativity for a day because, no offense.
Which was the same reason you didn't watch President Obama's?
No, President Obama's, I didn't care.
Okay.
I cannot tell you that I've watched a single presidential inauguration. They're going to become presidents. If they said anything interesting, someone will report it later. I'll find out about it. To me, today was a day. Now, it was a historic day. There's a new president. And in the United States, whether we love him or we hate him, he is our president. Okay. He has considerable amount of power. And yes, we have actually, I went against my whole thing about talking about politics on here because I am more than a little bit concerned. The reports that I'm hearing from people, I have friends who are in Washington marching today. Mm-hmm. I mean,
tomorrow morning, the Women's March, or they're protesting now?
I have friends who are in Washington today for the march.
Because there's two things that are happening. So there's a protesting actually happening now as we speak, as we're recording now. It's happening now. And there is a protest happening tomorrow called the Women's March.
Yes.
So are they there for both?
And yes.
Okay, cool. Nice.
Now, and it's very interesting to see all of these posts going on where people are saying tips on how to prepare for the march. Have the phone number to your lawyer and Sharpie on your
I did.
Your arm,
I read those.
And, make sure that you have X, Y, and Z stuff and that all of this other stuff. And like Houston women and men who are posting this information and who are on their way or have arrived in Washington and are there because they're going to participate in one way or another. Mm-hmm. I think that that's fairly, it's more than fairly interesting. I think that that's amazing, if nothing else, because of the level of involvement and commitment that shows. However, I'm hearing from both sides, now it's going to start and we can see and everyone's going to be surprised by how well he does and that this is a great and wonderful thing. And then I'm hearing posts from people about, the guy, the person who is, that he chose to do the prayer is actually has said that Catholics are, being led by Satan and all this other.
Oh, heavens.
Yeah. And all this other stuff. I don't know that. I don't know who this guy is, but I'm reading. So yeah. part of my job is I'm on social media all day, and all day what I've read has been depressing enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, I chose to not. I did make a conscious decision not to watch because I didn't want to partake in this like celebration of something that I don't think we should be celebrating in any way. Like, I chose not to watch purposely. I watched Obama's. I watched a lot of the recent presidents, like their inaugurations, but this one I was like, I don't want to watch it, and I won't go as far to say that I think he's illegitimate. I won't say that. I won't say that he's not my president. I won't say that either. But I just don't think he's presidential. So, and the other thing is, like, he just finished his cabinet, and this is the first time since 1988 since there is not one single Latino cabinet member. And when they asked I was watching the press conference with his spokesman, Sean Spencer, about why, and they asked him the question about why were there no Latinos picked for the cabinet? And his response was very similar to Matt Damon's comment about diversity that got him in a heap of trouble not too long ago. And it was sort of like, well, it's not all about color. It's not all about race. It's about who's the best qualified person for the job. And to me, that just tells me that you don't think there are any qualified Latinos who can do any of those jobs. And I don't believe that to be true. And so I am bracing myself. I'm going to hope for the best, but I just didn't want to see any of it. So I've stayed away from social media all day. I've stayed away from Facebook and everything. I just don't want to see anything to do with it. And I was even going to go a step further, which was to turn on my TV and put it on the channel that didn't have the inauguration, so that I could elect in without, so I could like affect the ratings, and so that they would show that there were very few people who were actually watching the inauguration, because it's not something that I personally am celebrating at all.
So, but just before,
okay.
Today I didn't watch.
Mm-hmm.
But based upon how politics works now, and I'm not going to say under this president because it's not. Under Obama, it was the issue too. We don't get the luxury of turning the television off and ignoring what's going on for more than a day.
Right.
Today I opted not to tune in, not to immerse myself in the negativity.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you look at my background, that will not last for very long.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to raise my voice. I'm going to sign petitions. I'm going to do the stuff that I have to do, and not necessarily against President Trump, but in support of the things that I think are right and proper.
Yeah.
For that purpose, yes, the inauguration, I didn't really tune in.
And then I did, and the one thing I did share on social from my public account was about the march tomorrow, and that's what I'm going to be watching, and that's what I am going to be broadcasting tomorrow, because that's what I care. That's what I think the what's going to happen tomorrow is more in line with what I believe than what's really happening today.
So my reasonings for watching the inauguration is I think it's going to be a very great reflection on the infamous 100 days in office, which actually starts tomorrow. What the tone in which...
Technically on Monday, according to Trump.
Okay, well, I guess Trump has vacation. Weekend, right? It's going to set a tone for what's going to happen is his infamous 100 days. And I say this to you, fellow citizens, brace yourself, because that speech, it was a warning to everybody and to anyone who was listening, including the past presidents, as he mentioned, and he said, and I can't quote him verbatim because I will not go back and watch the speech again, but what I heard was this: you have been getting politicians, and politicians have been benefiting, but you citizens have not been benefiting for many, many politicians ago. And according to him, he will now be giving, which sounds horrible to me, which is exactly what it sounds, is that he's going to be giving power back to the people that elected him in. That their voices are not going to go unheard. That when he does transactions with different countries, that they're going to be under the understanding that the United States come first, not their country. And I tell you this, fellow citizens, to brace yourself, because this is exactly who we elected in. Not I, perhaps not you listening, but those who you friended, those family members have elected him in.
But taken at face value, without taking into consideration who his cabinet is, who his supporters are, the people that he surrounded himself with, taken at face value, just the words that he said, I can understand how he got elected. Those words sound phenomenal. Can I mention just quickly what happened? And this is why I say this, is because as soon as he got into office, the whitehouse.gov, they removed the LBGT page. It's gone. Yeah.
It has a 404 error. So I say that because this is real.
Yeah.
This is happening. He said very grateful things to not the poor people, not the billionaires, but the middle class. We all know when he speaks of the middle class, that he needs them off welfare and he needs them back in jobs. I could not resonate. I didn't understand.
I can see there was what you said, what he said, the rhetoric that he used did connect with a lot of people who felt that they were not heard. A lot of people who, felt that they were kind of pushed aside and that they were kind of being overlooked, and they had real issues, and they do have real issues that they care about, that he brought to the light.
But here's the difference. Those issues were very subjectable to those areas, that person, that family.
Yeah,
what he is doing, he is bunching them entirely together and telling them, you have the same exact problem. And by the way, they are the problem, which is exactly the way it sounded in his speech. That is not the way democracy works. It's for the greater good.
But what I'm saying is, I understand where people are coming from and saying oh, I heard and this is what I believed in, or this is why I support him, or what he said resonated with me. But I still think that doesn't justify the things that he's already doing. That doesn't justify the things that he's really pushing out there, which is more than just talk. It's also creating like you said, a strife at others. And who are the others? The others are people who look like me and you, people who look like they're not Caucasian, and they're not that's really what it is.
I don't want to go.
That's really what it is.
I don't want to go that far and say this is what he is. He's talking to a small group of people. I'm going to reword this. He's talking to a group of people.
He is talking to a large group of people.
A very large group of people that got him elected.
Okay, but even that, a group of people, not the United States of America.
But Obama wasn't talking to the United States of America.
And you know what? When I voted, and I was very public about this, when I voted years ago, I was not in agreement with Obama at all whatsoever. But I voted because I agreed with his policies more than the other. And I've said this several times. I vote based on the issues that arise. That's the way I've always voted. Now, and so I say this.
People will tell you that that's why they voted for Trump. Okay. Because they agree with him more than her.
Okay, yes, you definitely. But here's the problem. There is such division. Even though when President Obama arose, there's always division when elections come around. Let's be honest. It always happens. It's always going to happen. But the division that has happened here, it seems so solidified. They didn't mark it with pencil and they're trying to erase it. They have burned the line down. And that's the way it felt. And so did his speech.
But you have to remember that you have a person who's very showmanship. He has a lot of showmanship. He's comes from the entertainment industry. He knows how to navigate the media.
Do we need an artist or a president?
He knows how to manipulate the media. And
it's not so much, it's not just the media.
Right. Okay. But however, having said that, though, the one thing that does concern me also is the use of the words fake news. Because now every time
I don't agree with you, so that must be fake.
Right. Every time something negative is written about Trump, like it's fake news. Oh, it's fake news. Oh, it's fake news. And it's like, well, what actually constitutes fake news?
That I don't agree with it.
And that's the concern there, because there's also talk about them looking at moving the press court where they normally have the press conferences offsite, which is like, what's the first thing that happens when you have like a dictatorship coming in is that they start cutting off the media. They start like,
which is kind of what happened. From my understanding is that some people are being as before previous, it was open. It was open, and now it's
started under
not.
Obama though. And I'm going to tell you...
Again, I don't agree with a lot of what happened, but what I'm saying is this.
We can't only say that it was Trump. And I understand
what you're saying, Sandra. And I have to disagree with you here for just a second, because I understand what you're saying. I don't agree with a lot of Obama things that he did. If you really want to get the great news, like for both of you and everybody out there listening, if you really want to get good news, leave alone the liberal media, leave CNN alone, leave NBC, leave Fox News, go outside and read actual from other countries, the UK, Ireland, other people. Watch their news. Al Jazeera. Watch their news. Yeah. And they get down and dirty, and they get the answers to questions. Isn't that?
That I watch Al Jazeera for
my
other
news.
Side.
Yeah, for my news, because I want unbiased news. I do. I really want unbiased news. I don't agree with them, Sandra. I don't agree with Obama's drone strikes or all these other stuff. I don't agree with that.
But you were talking about media access.
Yes.
And media access to the president, to the press corps access to the president actually started getting curtailed under the Obama administration.
Would you say this? So if Obama stopped cartelling, I guess, media, would you say that it's okay now for Trump to even diminish that even more and keep it in and yell at actual reporters while he's doing press conferences?
I'm not telling you that it's okay.
But that's my stake on it. You can't do tick for tack. That's not the way democracy works.
I'm not saying that it's right, but what I'm saying is we can't say it like this is a new thing.
No, and it's never.
What I'm saying is Trump is out there saying that he is better than Obama, and what he is actually doing is doing the same bad stuff that Obama did.
No. Here, this is where I have to disagree. Is that I don't think he's doing it as bad as Obama. I don't think he's doing it as bad as, I don't think he's doing equal bad as Obama. I think he's doing worse. And that is my problem. Where does this stop?
What is new is the fake news. The claims of fake news. I think that's new for every other report that comes out that negative in any way is like, oh, it's fake news. That's new.
What is new is having a president-elect and now president refuse to answer questions when he doesn't agree with the question.
Yeah.
Or yelling at reporters.
Yelling at reporters and disparaging them.
And looking to move that press area outside of the White House space where it's supposed to be. Yeah, that to me is like, where is this headed?
Where's the transparency? Like, yes. Where has the democracy of the United States have gone? Like, where has it gone? Where is it going? And what's happening? And so again, I go back and I revert back to why did I watch it? It's because that is going to be the tone that is going to be set for the next 100 days. What's going to happen? We don't know. For the first time in a presidency, I have no idea. He is not transparent. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. Under Obama administration, I agreed with, I can't even see, I don't know. Well, I didn't know then, and I know less now. And that is scary.
But it's not the first 100 days. It's the next 4 years.
But he has his infamous 100 days, which he's going to put into pragmatic place.
Everybody's expecting, normally the first 100 days sets the tone for the next 4 years. And so honestly, if for him to do his campaign promises, he has to do certain things during the first 100 days. And that'll tell us where things are going. But let's just take a look at that. Here's the other thing is I'm going to be polite to the people who don't agree with me, but I'm not going to tell them that I agree with them and it's okay that we don't agree, because it's not. Mm-hmm. I do not advocate policies that diminish other people's rights, diminish their civil rights, diminish their ability to have access to certain services and programs that should be universal in the U.S. I'm not talking free. We all have to pay our way.
Correct.
We all have to work and pay our way, but it shouldn't be impossible
Mm-hmm.
in the United States, which is supposed to be the best country in the world if you hear for me to get a good education, to have access to healthcare, and to not be homeless and not be hungry, and to have access to a job if I'm willing to work.
Mm-hmm.
I think that those things should be universal. If I'm willing to hold down a job and go out there and I'm working my butt off, I should then have access to these other things.
Correct.
And if you're telling me that because I'm making $10 an hour and, oh, it's too bad you can't afford health care.
I know, yes,
oh, it's
correct.
too bad you can't afford a good education for your kids.
Mhm.
Yeah, ni modo. Okay, that's too
That's
bad.
your problem.
You should have gotten a better job. That's your problem. That's
Yeah,
not
you're
the
right.
way it's supposed to work. I don't want a
And
free
I agree.
ride. I don't think people deserve a free ride. I think they deserve a leg up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I don't think people deserve a free ride. Now, that's two separate things. Now, where I differ with other people is, what do I consider a free ride? Helping people when they're down so that they can get back up is not a free ride. And in the United States, we shouldn't consider it that way.
And
That's my opinion.
And I guess my only question always is like, well, what's the distinction between what one community's has been suffering with, and then all of a sudden a different community is suffering with the same thing, and it's looked at in very different ways. So what is that? Why is that, and why is it that everybody has to like accept that? Like, why does that have to be acceptable? And I think that under this presidency, it's becoming more acceptable that there's a superiority of like there's an order of things, and the way things are supposed to be.
I think that kind of, and this is just on my perspective, and that's in response to you, depending just you, Juan, not anybody else who thinks like this or anything. My opinion towards you, I think that that starts a conversation of discrimination, and you have to be really careful with that, because when we consider others, like I can be completely different from my counterpartner, my Latina counterpartner who grew up in the same space, who supports Trump and so on and so forth. But that I'm not sure that she sees me as, I'm not sure she might see me as less than. I think we have different ideas as to what actual presidency means at this moment, what democracy means for me. My democracy at one point meant that there was policies put into place back at the Bush administration. I have to finish my thought.
Let me say that I just don't think that I don't mean to say that everybody that doesn't look like me thinks that way about me, because I don't believe that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there's been an undercurrent that's come up, and there's an undercurrent of people who do think like that. And you just have to go to like any comments on social media or in a newspaper or like article that talks about anything, and you see those people that are out there, like, and you see it in the news where people are getting threatening letters or they're being discriminated against. Yeah. My brother was here from Denver a couple weeks ago, and he was driving in the outskirts of Texas, and he got put over for no reason. Just like for no reason. They put him in a cop car and everything. He's never had a record in anything.
Excuse me?
Yeah, they put him in the back of a cop car and everything. And so I'm like, this is like happening now. So like,
yeah, it is.
Like,
yeah.
This
okay,
is
so,
real. So
what I meant to say with that is simply that I understand what you're saying with the undercurrent. What I speak of is democracy. Democracy seems now to be all about feelings, right? So he understands us. He gets us. He knows what he's talking about. He knows. He's never been in your shoes, but he understands because he sees it. He sees it from up there, down here. He sees us. That is, you're playing on the feelings of people, and to win in democracy, I go back to the same thing. There's such a thing as a greater common good, and where did that go? Where did that democracy go? Which is all I'm looking for, and that's the only reason I watched the inauguration.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So you were gonna say something?
No. What I'm gonna say is that I think we're gonna come back to this topic a lot for several reasons, and one is there's that whole thing where we don't have the luxury of not talking about it anymore.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. We don't have the luxury of not talking about it anymore. The other thing is that I'm having trouble articulating this, is that I am very concerned about how things are happening. And, people out there can tell me all they want, that I have no reason to be concerned, and that concerns me even more.
There's a set tone right now, and heavens, if you are not hearing that ring in your ear, I like, there's a tone, and I can't get over this tone. So I'm gonna leave it at that. But
I'll just say that this is really the time for us, for people who need to be on the lookout or need to like be vigilant, for people to come together. If you're going to be vigilant, whether you're whether you're a person that's you feel like you're marginalized, or you're a person that's in a community, or if you're just part of like if you're not marginalized community but you sympathize or you understand why people feel a certain way, I think this is the time to kind of come together and be together, vigilant together, as opposed to letting ourselves be pitted against each other as like, oh, this community or that community like is taking something from you or whatever. I think it's now the time to like really, what is it, like you said, what's the foundation of the country? And that's what we need to be vigilant about. If we start seeing that rights are taken away, if we start seeing that people are being discriminated, like I think it's upon all of us to really stand up and say something, and to protest against it, and ask that those things not be happening.
And this is not a Latino issue. This is not an LGBT issue. Mm-hmm. This is not an immigration issue. This is not a minority issue. This is a what makes America great conversation.
I feel like I'm back in 3rd grade and watching some kids get in trouble. When, as all this plays out, there's a teacher that's going to each kid and pointing his finger, waving at him like, no, blah, blah. Like, I feel like we're I don't know. I feel like there's a dialogue that's missing. There's a conversation that's not taking place. And I fear we're all just being, what they feel like, or what other people might feel like. I want to say this, and I'm being very careful with my words. I feel like somebody somewhere they think they're like re-educating us on like what freedom in this United States is. And I don't know. Again, I go back to the same word, democracy, and I fear it's missing. So anyways, with that, we're going to wrap this up.
Yes. Because
as Sandra had mentioned, this is a subject that we're going to keep coming back to. And I feel that if we stay on it forever, we can go down lanes and highways that we don't know enough yet to be talking about. So with that, folks, I leave you, and yeah.
See you next episode. Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Little Radio Show. We invite you to check out our iTunes and our Stitcher channels and leave us a rating or a review. You can find the link to both channels at thelittleradioshow.com.